Welcome, everyone, to our virtual information night at Ursuline. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. We're so excited to have you here virtually. Hopefully you're enjoying your evening. There are some, I think benefits to having these information sessions virtually. You get to relax, don't have to drive out to Blue Ash to visit us. But we're just going to give it a couple of minutes here until everyone has a chance to log on. I know it takes a minute sometimes to get in, so we just want to give everyone a chance to join our event tonight before we get started with our information. So hopefully all of you are having a good start to your school year, whatever that looks like for you right now, whether you're remote or back to school in person. I hope that it's off to a good start for you. We've been enjoying having our students on campus at Ursuline. We've been in person and our students are doing a great job of following the social distancing rules, the mask wearing. They've been doing a really great job of keeping our community safe so that we can stay in school, which is of course what we want to happen. So we're very proud of our students. It's also a little funny, of course, because we have just all these different rules that we wouldn't normally have. We have boxes on the floor that the students are allowed to sit in and, dots that they need to stand in. So we're all just adjusting and trying to make the most of it. So I hope that your schools are also, making the most of it. I hope you're enjoying the start of the school year. Oh, and it looks like we've got a few more people logging on, so this is great. We'll just give it a few more minutes until everyone has a chance to log on here, and then we'll get started with introductions and with our program for tonight. And for those who just joined, thank you for joining us. Welcome to our virtual admissions event at Ursuline. Okay, great. We've got some more people joining us. This is wonderful. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. So we are going to give a few more minutes just for everyone to join our virtual event tonight. Every now and then it takes a minute, to log on, depending how often you use Microsoft Teams, although I think we're all getting a lot more used to it than we were a year ago, I think, which is a positive. So as we're waiting for just a few more people to log on here before we get started with our introductions and kicking off our program, for those of you who are already on, I'll go ahead and just show a video that you can watch while everyone else is having the chance to log on. Some of you may have seen this video already. It's on our website, but it's about Ursuline. So while you're waiting, please enjoy this video about our school.
We are a sisterhood and we help each other out. It's not about competitiveness, but more just working together to help each other achieve our goals.
The vision of Saint Angela will guide us through our days.
In the Catholic tradition of Ursuline education, the mission of Ursuline Academy is to prepare the young woman for college and beyond by nurturing her soul, intellect, heart, and imagination. Hi, my name's Rocky Bawa, and I'm a senior at Ursuline Academy.
Really, Ursuline's been my home for over 25 years. I fell in love with the school when I was a student here. I've taught here for 18 years. My oldest daughter, Peyton, graduated last year, and my youngest daughter, Sydney, is currently a freshman. Hi, my name is Jenny Grathwell-Breisinger, and basically, Ursuline is my life.
So our modular schedule that we have at Ursuline has prepared me for what a college schedule will be like, because you have freedom of when you choose to eat, when you choose to do homework, and then your classes.
Every day is different, just like college and just like the real world. You're going to have to budget your time.
So you have the freedom to decide what you need to work on and what you need to prioritize. We have a symposium every 2 years where different alumni will come back.
They're sharing their gifts and talents and how they're doing in their careers once they leave Ursuline.
It was really cool to see how pretty much what I hope my future will be, and how Ursuline helped shape her path.
I love teaching students that want to learn, that are responsible, that are engaged, and that's what I get to do every day. I had a major sense of pride when my daughter graduated last year. Ursuline really gave her the skills to be confident, to be successful, and to be a good person. The other thing Ursuline gave my daughter is a strong sense of faith.
They emphasize that Ursuline is not just a place for you to grow smarter, but it's for you to grow as a person. It's all about women succeeding and women taking the next step.
They feel empowered and they walk out the door ready to take on anything life can throw at them.
I've learned leadership. I've learned how to delegate tasks. I've learned how to work with a group of other people to plan big projects. We learn not for school, but for life. Voices, values, vision. Ursuline Academy.
We have lots of fun at Ursuline. We don't wear skirts, we wear kilts. Black watch plaid, it's in.
Every day, I'm really grateful that I get to walk in these doors and I get to learn here and I get to make friends here. We are a sisterhood.
All right, so thank you for joining us for our video at the beginning. Welcome. I believe everyone is logged on now. So hopefully you had the chance to watch a little bit of our admissions video there, a little bit about Ursuline. Of course, you're going to learn a lot more about Ursuline tonight. So I just want to say a quick welcome to everyone and show you what we're going to be doing for the rest of the evening here together. So my name is Ashley Enyart Higgins. I'm the Director of Admissions here at Ursuline, and I also am an alum of Ursuline. I graduated in 2009. And I am, of course, the one who you will be working with over the next year or two as your daughter explores high schools, applies to Ursuline, and I'm here to help you every step along the way as you find the school that's the right fit for your daughter. And so for the evening, I want to give you a little overview of what we'll be covering tonight. So at Ursuline, our mission is to prepare the young woman for college and beyond by nurturing her soul, intellect, heart, and imagination. And that's how we framed our event tonight for you. We've pulled out those 4 elements of our mission statement: soul, intellect, heart, and imagination. And that's how we'll be organizing our event tonight. And you'll be hearing from different members of our community, of our faculty and staff, as well as a student tonight, sharing, what Ursuline means to them, some of the different things that we have to offer here at Ursuline. So we'll be starting off, you'll hear from our president, Ms. Payne, as well as our principal, Ms. Hallahan. And then we'll go into hearing from Ms. Hosfeld, the department coordinator for our counseling department, as well as Ms. Hurley, who is our community ministries department coordinator. And then you'll hear from Laura Winterrod, who is a senior here at Ursuline. And then I'll go a little bit through the admissions process and what next steps are for you as you explore high schools and apply. And then we'll have some time for questions, some general Q&A. And then the last about 45 minutes of our program tonight, we'll have 3 sessions to go more in depth about athletics, performing arts, and student life. So, just so you know, that's the overview of the event tonight. And how the questions will work tonight is there's a chat window. You might have seen the chat when you logged into the virtual event. So as you have a question tonight, please put it in the chat. Anytime, whenever it occurs to you, go ahead and type that into the chat. And we'll keep track of those questions. And then during the Q&A session, we will go through and answer as many of your questions as we can. So just go ahead and pop that into the chat whenever it occurs to you, and we will compile them and answer them as we go. Now, we do have a lot of people joining us tonight, which is wonderful. We're so excited to have so many families here. So if we aren't able to answer every single question tonight, as always, reach out to me, just give us a call or send me an email, and I am always more than happy to talk more in depth or to answer any additional questions that you might have. You can reach me at Ashley, Higgins at UrsulaneAcademy.org, or just call Ursuline and ask for the admissions office. So that is just the overview of how tonight will work. So I am going to go ahead and turn it over to our president, Ms. Ramona Payne.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, we are so delighted that you could join us tonight and really appreciate you taking the time out of your evening to be here. As you've heard before, the mission of Ursuline is to prepare the young woman for college and beyond by nurturing her soul, her intellect, heart, and imagination. And what I'd like to talk to you about tonight is how we live and experience that commitment here at Ursuline. In 1535, St. Angela Merici founded the Company of St. Ursula in Italy. That community grew into the Order of Ursuline Sisters that founded our school in 1896, nearly 125 years ago. St. Angela left us her wisdom and many of her writings, and they were called the Councils. And what I'd like to do is share a brief reading from her 8th council with you. It reads as follows: love those for whom you are responsible with a particular awareness of their person. Do not single out one more than another, for they are all God's children, and you have no idea what God wishes to make of them. Fulfill your responsibility by guiding them with love and kindness when you notice their human failings. And never cease to nurture the growth of these persons entrusted to you. Leave the rest to God, trusting in God to work wonders in God's own time. These words for us are really very important, and they guide how we make decisions in Ursuline, how we seek to develop the unique gifts and potential of each woman, each young woman who comes to school here. And our commitment is really based on a couple of things. We really believe that we all have an opportunity to both seek and discern what is God's will for our life. And really what we want to do here is encourage the young women to learn how to seek God's voice for themselves, to listen for it, and then make decisions about how they live their lives based on His guidance. And those are some of the things that we really try to stress and develop here. We recognize that each student has her own unique gifts, but we are humbled by the fact that even though we go into every situation believing in the unique value of each person, we know that God has a plan for each student far beyond anything we could ever see. I wanted to talk to you a little bit, just really more about the history and background of Ursuline, and in particular about the sisters who founded the school. So in the last few months, I've had 2 different opportunities to go to Brown County, where the school began. Brown County is beautiful. It's out in a rural part of the area. It's about a 45-minute drive from here, where we are on Pfeiffer Road. And when you get there, I mean, it's a quiet ride, it's beautiful, and then you make a right turn and you're on the campus, and it's so peaceful, and there are, gorgeous trees and a grassy lawn, a little stream, and then all these beautiful buildings. But what really is impressive is that if you think about the history, what happened, 175 years ago, is that a group of 11 women, 3 of them English and 8 of them French, traveled from France and landed in rural Ohio. And when they arrived there, I mean, there were clearly people living there, but it wasn't really what they expected, certainly when they left Europe. But this group of 11 women, they all kind of tapped into their unique skills. And so those who knew how to farm, they did some farming. If they knew how to raise animals, and some of them did, they raised the animals. They built a community. And so what you have are these 11 amazing women, really inspired by a vision that God had given them, coming into this rural environment and creating this community. Not only did they create a community, they built buildings, they carved, over the years, when you look in the chapel, you'll see the carvings in the chapel. You'll see it on the chapel door. You'll see it in chairs and benches and everything. I mean, they really brought to bear all the skills that they had, and they were willing to learn new ones so they could survive in, again, what was a very rural community. But the amazing thing they also did is it didn't take them long once they got there to establish a school. And that was a school that had students not only from the nearby area, but eventually there were students from all over the country. So again, these were amazing women, just like St. Angela Merici, who had a vision, who were determined, and they were led by God to do something that on their own would have been nearly impossible to do. And so you come forward, and now in next year we will be celebrating 125 years at Ursuline Academy as a school. And it all really began with the vision that those women had and their determination to see it through. So what we realize is that, again, a belief in God and a strong faith really allows you to do much more than you think you could do, or perhaps even that other people think that you're able to do. Vision, determination, and faith are critical to your experience here at Ursuline, and those are skills and abilities that we really want to help nurture in our students. One of the other things I think it's important for you to know is that when you come to Ursuline, you will be embraced as part of a community. And when I say community, I mean the students, the staff, the faculty, the parents. But the other group that I want you to know, because it's not necessarily something you think about when you're in 8th grade or when you're coming in as a freshman, but when you join our community, you are also joining a group of over 8,000 alumni across the country, across the world, who are equally committed to Ursuline Academy, who are very committed to you as a student and a future alumni. And they also do so many things to continue that idea of nurturing the individual. So again, we just really want to welcome you. If you have any questions for me, by all means, feel free to, reach out to Ashley, reach out to me. And next, what I'd like to do is introduce you to our principal, Ms. Hallahan. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ramona. Good evening, and it really is great that you are joining us tonight. It is a pleasure to be able to talk with you about how we are committed to nurturing the intellect of each young woman of Ursuline. Ursuline takes a unique approach to curriculum and learning, and we truly provide an individualized learning experience for each student. No two students have the exact same schedule. Our goal is to meet each young woman where she is and to move her forward academically according to her strengths, her interests, and passion. So students are not tracked at Ursuline. So for example, a freshman may be accelerated in French and placed in French 2 honors, as well as in math and be placed in geometry honors, while taking English 1 and biology. So she does not have to be placed in all honors courses or all non-honors courses. At Ursuline, we offer a rigorous, robust learning experience for every student. And many ask, what makes Ursuline and the education at UA unique? Well, all of our courses are designed based upon some core principles, 6 core principles that I would like to share with you this evening. First, all of our courses are aligned with Ursuline's mission, philosophy, and core values. And so what that means is that our courses do take a student-centered approach to learning, where students can learn through their choices. Our courses are based in the values and vision of St. Angela Merici, that cultivates the development of young women. Our classrooms are supportive and nurturing environments where all students can thrive and be loved for who they are as individuals. And we provide the freedom to self-govern and the opportunity for self-discovery, ensuring our students become independent, confident, and responsible young women. Second, we recognize that the relationship between students and teachers forms the foundation for all learning. And this is a major indicator of student success, and we take that very seriously. And so we are committed to a holistic approach to student achievement. Third, we also know that structure and organization are essential operational elements. So our teachers assess and meet the students' abilities and interests, and these are both developed abilities as well as developing abilities. Our courses also then reflect a common philosophy regarding critical thinking. Our courses have a common rhythm or cadence, so students can discover, engage, demonstrate, reflect, and connect in all of our courses in all content. And this is important to our courses also. We provide multiple opportunities and modes of reflection. We know there's a difference between learning content and knowing content, and we strive for students to learn content. And we know that learning only happens if we can provide multiple opportunities for reflection. So it is through reflection that we learn. Fourth, we ensure that our courses do offer multiple modes of assessment. So those are formative assessment as well as summative assessments. Fifth, we make sure that our courses do utilize common and curated technology tools. So we do have a BYOD program, which does allow each young woman to have her own device of choice. So that could be a Mac machine or a Windows-based machine. But we do utilize common platforms, so students do not have to navigate various platforms from teacher to teacher. And finally, our sixth principle is that our courses are healthy and balanced. And this is very important to us, and we put a lot of time and effort and research into this, and our recent school goals are even developed around this particular principle, and that is that it relies on a deep understanding of the developmental, socio-emotional, and physical needs of our students. So together, these design principles help create the unique Ursuline experience for our students in the classroom. So I had the privilege of joining Ursuline 15 years ago as a full-time math teacher. And being in the classroom with our students made me realize the very nature on which our courses are designed and how learning happens at UA. My students pushed me in a good way. They pushed me in a way that made me truly a better teacher. And I can honestly say that in my 28 years of education, I have grown more professionally since I have been at Ursuline than I did in my first 13 years of my career. And I attribute that to our students and my colleagues. It is such a blessing to be a part of a community that is passionate about learning and to engage with those that truly love to learn on a day-to-day basis. It's so fun and invigorating to be in this environment. You know, a few years back, we hired a science teacher that taught in a local public district as well as another Catholic girls' school prior to teaching at UA. And during her first year at Ursuline, she realized that she had covered more material from August to Thanksgiving at UA than she had covered in a full year at her previous schools. Teaching the same course, which was a non-honor science course. So students may be taking courses that are offered at other schools with the same name. So English 2, for example, geometry, chemistry, US history. And many comprehensive high schools have multiple levels of these courses. So you have to be careful in comparing courses from school to school. At Ursuline, we really ensure that our courses are rigorous and robust in content, and that we give our students the opportunities to explore content on a deeper level so our young women are truly set up for success in college and beyond. At Ursuline, we do learn not just for school, but for life. It is our motto. It is a school motto for us, but it is truly describes our culture. And this includes the faculty and staff, not just the students. We truly are a community of learners. And now I would like to introduce Ms. Katie Hosfeld. And Katie is our counseling department co-coordinator, and she is also one of our freshman sophomore counselors.
Good evening. I just wanted to talk a little bit about our counseling department and some of the services that we offer tonight. So I am just one of 7 counselors. We have 3 of us who are freshman sophomore counselors, and we have 4 junior senior counselors. Ursuline is committed to providing individualized student attention, which is evident by our student to counselor ratios. We average about 80 or so students on our caseload, whereas most other schools have much higher ratios. So we are so very, very fortunate that we get to know our students and work with them so closely. As a counselor, one of our main goals is to help ensure as smooth a transition as possible. We realize starting high school can be a little overwhelming, so we work with the students to help them meet one another and to introduce them to a variety of different resource people that they can access for support. We meet with students individually throughout the school year to get to know them and to talk with them about ways to get involved in our school community. We also provide general support to focus on the whole person in the areas of academic, social, and emotional development. Not only do we meet with students individually, but we are also really fortunate that we get to see students each week in a classroom setting in their freshman counseling class. Our counseling curriculum is very unique, and we are proud to be one of the only high schools in our area to offer such a comprehensive program. We discuss a variety of topics in freshman counseling, such as the decision-making skills, time management, stress management, organization skills, developing resumes, self-care plans, and test prep, just to name a few. Counseling classes continue into sophomore year, where we focus more specifically on students' aptitudes to help them identify potential career paths. Junior year, students take our college planning class to focus on the college admissions process. And then during the senior year, students work more closely with the junior senior counselor and have more individualized time working on college applications and also implementing the skills from their college planning class. Our modular schedule is very distinct and models a college schedule, allowing flexibility and promoting independence and responsibility. Students have free mods that allow them to make choices on how to best use their time, whether it be to meet with teachers, meet with counselors, eat lunch, work on homework, socialize and get to know one another, as well as study. And we encourage them to balance out their free mods to make responsible decisions about the best use of their time. We hear so many students, so many girls come back who've graduated and say how much our schedule has really prepared them at the college level and even beyond. And they seem to feel much more confident than managing their time. We are also pleased to have other resource people available in the counseling office. We have a full-time school psychologist and an academic services coordinator who can both help support the unique needs of our students, as well as provide services to any students who might need accommodations. Ursuline has also partnered with Cincinnati Children's Hospital to provide a full-time school-based therapist who can offer counseling and therapy on site during students' free mods. We also have a student-led initiative, Bring Change to Mind, which is aimed at increasing awareness and education about mental health and to end the stigma surrounding mental illness. Not only are we here for the students, but we're also resources to you, the parents. As parents, you know your daughter best. We encourage you to reach out with any questions or concerns that arise. We look forward to partnering with you so that your daughter finds her home away from home while attending school. So obviously we're really proud of our schedule. We're proud of our comprehensive counseling program. We just encourage you, please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions that you might have. And so now at this time, I would like to turn it over to Ruthie Hurley, who is our Community Ministries Department Coordinator.
Hi, everybody, and welcome this evening. It's so good to have so many people here this evening. As Katie said, I'm Ms. Hurley. I'm the coordinator of Community Ministries, which is a 3-person department at Ursuline. We have a team that helps to foster and nurture our students' hearts through their time at UA. So the Community Ministries Department is made up of 3 people. Ashley Volpenheim is our campus minister, and it does roles that you would expect of a campus minister. So she coordinates all of our retreats, prayer and liturgy experiences for our whole school community, and sacramental experiences. But she also works really hard to help our students integrate prayer into their everyday life. So she schedules special prayer opportunities that students can attend in their frees. For instance, she coordinates PA prayer for us. So every day we have a faculty member or a student who leads prayer on the air to start our day with prayer. And I think one of the things that I love about our campus ministry program is that it is about helping students to deepen their faith, but also to witness that faith, to put that faith in action by sharing their journey, their story. So they do that through PA prayer, but they also do that as retreat leaders, contributing to all school prayer services and liturgies. And those are things that are open to students of all faith traditions. With our Catholic students taking the lead on some specific roles when we have Mass together. The second part of Community Ministries is our community service program that's led by Ms. Kanapke, and she works with the student leaders to run a vibrant service program. We don't have required hours at Ursuline. Rather, our Ursuline identity calls us to be servants to one another and especially to the larger society, that if we're women of faith and thinking about how God is calling us, we're going to be led to use our gifts for the betterment of others and in service to the larger society. I've been really impressed with Ms. Kanapke this year with COVID because she's continuing to work with our student leaders on our projects, but has really encouraged them to think deeply about understanding the why. Why does this agency that we're working with exist? What's the larger systemic problem issue that they're trying to address that makes the work of this agency necessary? How can we continue to work to make a difference in meaningful ways, even with social distancing? But what impresses me is that these aren't just questions she asks of our student leaders during COVID as they try to adapt their programs and adapt their service. They're the things that she's been working with them and asking them about to make the service meaningful, even in our normal school times, so that we can be people who are part of transforming society, even as we're serving and learning about ourselves through the service that we do. And finally, I'm Diversity and Inclusion Coordinator, the 3rd person in the Community Ministries Department. And I work with all members of our community, including alums and parents, but I have a particular focus with students and the faculty on deepening our awareness of the gifts and challenges that come from being members of a multicultural society. Practically speaking, I work with students and moderators of our various diversity clubs and initiatives, helping them to develop programming to deepen the understanding for our entire larger school community. For instance, Harmony is one of our student initiatives, and typically they plan cultural events 3 or 4 times a year that are evening programs for students and for parents to celebrate the different cultures that are part of our school community. I'm still working with Harmony, but that group of students has been reimagining how do we celebrate as a community, how do we deepen people's understanding of the communities that make up our larger Ursuline school community. And so I'm working really hard with members of Harmony and our Spanish club and our Hispanic students right now to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, which began today. And they have a whole month of activities planned to help our students understand the unique contribution that the Hispanic community has made to the larger world, but also the impact that our students are making on our school community just by being a part of it. And in addition to celebrating our different communities, we want our students to be equipped to engage in dialogue and learning when topics are challenging. So we have a program called Diversity Dialogue and Donuts, which is a drop-in program where students come in when they're free, and we talk about what's ever on their mind. They get to talk with whatever students are free about what they're wrestling with, what they're thinking about in regards to diversity. Often current events play a role in these conversations. We want the students to be able to talk through difference. We want students to be able to disagree with respect and figure out where people are coming from when they see an issue differently. Because we believe that it's through dialogue that we can deepen our understanding and form a community that we're called to be, that can work for solutions to problems in our world, rather than just talking at each other. We really try to cultivate a love of learning and a love of valuing each and every person through talking about topics that are difficult, but that we grow from having those conversations. We're building a community of care and respect for the dignity of all, built on mutual respect. And it really is my goal that every student that walks into Ursuline knows that she is valued for all of who she is, and that she doesn't feel like she has to leave any part of her identity at the door, but that she can bring her full self into our school every day and be valued for who she is. Finally, in my role, I also oversee our freshman inclusion program, which is a series of events that we do to help students connect with the life of the school and to get integrated into the life of the school and help them to deepen their connection with one another. I'm really lucky because I get to work with so many people in that program. I get to partner with our guidance department, our counseling department, and the freshman class moderator and freshman homeroom teachers, really looking at each freshman class and going, what's unique about this group? What are the challenges that they're facing? What is the programming that we can do to help them to feel even more part of our school community? And that's a really fun part of my job, as I get to know all the different freshmen who are part of our community. For all of community ministries, we create programming to engage students in doing. So we're doing service, we're engaging in prayer, we're entering dialogue and learning about different cultures. But we also empower them to take the next step of leading, putting their faith in action by inviting others in, whether it's pals helping out with retreats and our community days, project leaders and witness reps, making sure that our service program happens, or our diversity leadership team, figuring out what the next event is going to be to help deepen students' understanding. There's over 150 different leadership opportunities in our community ministries program. That's open to students as young as freshmen. Our freshmen are going to be invited into leadership through student activities, through community ministries. From the moment they get there, students learn to be service leaders throughout all of our programs. And I'm looking forward to seeing how we can help to nurture your heart as an Ursuline student in the future. Now I'd like to introduce one of our amazing student leaders, Laura Winterrod. She is one of our seniors.
Hi, my name is Laura Winterrod. Yeah, I'm a senior here at UA, and I'm going to be talking about today how Ursuline nurtures a woman's imagination. So before I start, I just kind of wanted to give you a little background about myself, kind of what I'm involved here at UA. So when I first came to UA, I kind of jumped into the club called Lions Roar, and it is our school newspaper, which is really fun because I love writing, and it was a great way to kind of express myself out of the classroom. I've also been involved with one of the school plays, which is really fun, and I got to meet a ton of new girls and some girls that have graduated I'm still friends with. And kind of as I got into my later years at Ursuline, I found out that I have a really huge passion for leadership, and I was actually class co-president junior year, and it was so fun being able to lead my grade and kind of form those connections with the girls. And then this year for senior year, I still wanted to be a student leader, and I'm actually on student council board, and we kind of oversee all the student activities here at Ursuline, and it's just another way to really be involved with student life. So, okay, now that you know a little bit about me, I just kind of want to talk about like the involvement here at UA and how it just nurtures that imagination. So like I said, when I came to UA, I was really surprised by the amount of stuff there is to be involved with. I think coming from a smaller grade school, there was not a lot to get involved with, and I thought something really different about UA was that it's really not just like encouraged by the teachers, but it's encouraged by your friends, and it's not something that's seen as like weird or and Ursuline isn't just like, oh, we're going to take our clubs and we're going to, put them downstairs. It's a huge part of the student life here, and it's a huge part of our school, and I thought it was so exciting that to take pride in being involved in a club, and not only that, but to have my voice being heard. Like I said, I did newspaper, I've been on student council. It's something really different than I've ever experienced at any school, and I love that it's really encouraged here, and it's something that I can take pride in, and it's something that helps me grow with the other girls in my grade and in the school. And I think all the opportunities that Ursuline has offered through all the things they have, I've really found what I want to do for college. So I want to do like marketing and communications. And I don't know if I would be able to get to that point if I wouldn't have been able to see like how much Ursuline has taught me how much I love being a leader and how much I love being involved. And that's really helped me. And I know that's going to help me kind of in my later years at life and like going into college. And I'm so thankful that I've had all the opportunities here to really grow just from first coming and feeling so timid in this new school, and just how opening up the school was to me. And so talking about college and the classroom, I kind of also want to talk about how the teachers here in that classroom experience as a student and how they nurture my imagination and everyone else. I think when I was younger in classes and in middle school, I think a lot of people do. Sometimes it's really hard to raise your hand. And I know for me, like if I'm going to raise my hand, I've got to be 100% correct. Like there's no way. And I would always go into the classroom setting like that. And I thought it was so interesting as I started going to Ursuline. I love that, the teachers weren't expecting us to get every question right. The teachers weren't expecting us to know everything about geometry or anything. And I thought that was so exciting because it just creates this learning experience like nothing I've ever experienced. It's so comforting to go into the classroom and feel like you're really learning with everyone else, and that the girls are encouraging you to participate. And I feel like through that, it's made me a better student, and it's also just helped me grow, and it's helped me maybe take classes that are more challenging because I know that, the teachers are going to support me and the girls around me in the class are going to support me, and there's no timidness or like afraid. And I love that I can just feel that comfortable in the classroom. And I love that the teachers here, obviously there are teachers, and I love that I can look up to them as role models. And a lot of them are alumni here. And I love that I can go to them if I obviously have a question, but they're also my mentors. And I think that's such a special thing with this school, and something you just don't get everywhere, and that they're really involved with everyone. And I know that if I ever need anything, I can always go to one of my teachers and they're going to help. And I think that's so special. And the last thing I just kind of wanted to touch base on was kind of what sets Ursuline apart just as a student. So something I don't think I mentioned was that I do play soccer, and I've played soccer here at UA. And I think going to schools like in the past in middle school, it was always that I'm a soccer player, and that's kind of my thing, and it's always my thing. And I thought it was so exciting when I came to Ursuline with everyone that it's not just one thing that defines you. There's so many things here to get involved with, and there's so many things here that really show who you are. And I think that's a really special community that Ursuline has built. And as I said, I go to a lot of soccer camps around the states for colleges, and girls will always ask me, you know, like, oh, what's your high school like? And I think in Cincinnati, it's so popular to go to a Catholic school, to go to an all-girls school. But in most states, it's like, it's really weird. So, you know, I'll say like, oh yeah, I go to an all-girls school. And they're like, what? Like, oh my gosh, like, who made you do that? Like, that must be, you know, that must be bad. And I always laugh to myself because I'm like, no, like, you know, I chose this. Like, it's awesome. And they're like, hey, you must have drama. And wow, like, I can't believe that. They're like stunned. And I think it's so funny because I think that's kind of the first thing you think about at an all girls school. But I love how different Ursuline is in that perspective, that I feel like I'm so close with all my sisters in my school and with everyone in my class. If I need something, I could go up to anyone and I know they'd be like, yeah, like, let me help you out. And this kind of reflects, I got a new neighbor back in summer and she was in her 80s. And we went over to introduce ourselves and she pulls, you know, we're talking and all of a sudden she pulls out her Ursuline class ring and I wore mine today too. And she's an Ursuline alumni. And it was crazy because she sat me down, she let me look through her yearbook, she gave me all these t-shirts. I mean, we sat and talked, and I think that goes back that here, like, we're sisters, my friends and I, and even, you know, this woman, she's almost 90 years old and she was still gonna support me. And I think that's so special and it's just why I love this school. So.
All right, thank you so much, Laura, for sharing a little bit about your experience as a student. We are very grateful to have wonderful students like Laura here. We just truly do, we're lucky at Ursuline because we have wonderful students, wonderful faculty members, and it really just makes up this special community that you've heard a little bit about so far. So I want to go a little bit more into some logistics about the admissions process and, you know, what your next steps are. How do you become a Lion? So as I mentioned, I'm Ashley Higgins. If you joined on a little bit later, I do admissions here at Ursuline. So please feel free to reach out to me anytime that you have a question. And just as a reminder as well, there are, you know, the questions are starting to come in the Q&A. So feel free to add your questions into the chat. And after I speak about the admissions process a little bit here, we will have some time for some live Q&A and we can, you know, I'll ask your question to whoever the most appropriate person to answer it might be. So a little bit about the admissions process at Ursuline. So I know we have students and parents of all different grade levels joining us here tonight. We have some 8th graders, we have 7th graders. I think I even saw a few 6th graders on the registration list. So welcome to all of you. So this admissions process is, you know, specifically for students in the 8th grade, but if you're a 7th grader, if you're a 6th grader right now, it's going to look, you know, more or less the same for you in a couple of years here. The dates just might be a little bit different, so you can know what is ahead. So going through this, you know, you have some steps up here on the slide, and step 1 is really just doing that research, and that's what you're all doing right now. So there are a lot of high schools in Cincinnati. There are a lot of great options for high schools in Cincinnati. If you're from Cincinnati, I'm sure you're very familiar with all of the different Catholic high schools. We have great public schools. You know, there's great options. We're lucky here in this city. And it's really all about finding the school that is the right fit for you as a student or for your daughter as a student. And that's where that research comes in. So you all are here on this, you know, virtual event tonight. So hopefully you're learning some information about what Ursuline has to offer in our unique culture, you know, our unique offerings. Please check out our website as well. We do have more events coming up as well. So we have next week, actually, we have a financial aid information night on the 23rd. Feel free to register for that. It'll be the same format. You can find out, you know, more specifics about the financial aid, scholarships, all of that, how to fund an Ursuline education. We will have an another information session in October that will be all about why an all-girls education for your daughter. So as you heard Laura touch on, all-girls school, does that sound good or bad? Who knows? I mean, I, of course, went to Ursuline. I can tell you it was the best decision I ever made to go to an all-girls high school. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about the personal experiences as well as the statistics and the research that's out there, join us for that. And we will have other events as well, really throughout the fall and into the winter, to help you learn about our school. Part of that too is the personal tours. We're happy to give you a personal tour of Ursuline. We are following social distancing guidelines, of course, so we're keeping, the sizes limited on shadow days. Our shadow day registration is up. But with all of that, if you ever want to just have a personal tour of the school, please reach out and we can schedule that and we can show you around and answer your more specific questions. So that's really that step one, the research piece that is so important to the admissions process. And I got in a little bit to step two as well, which is visiting the school. So please do come and visit us. Again, it's a little different this year. Some of our events will be virtual, but there are opportunities to come in person. We're practicing, wearing masks, everything, the distancing, to make sure that we keep our school and our students and our community safe so that you can come visit us. And then step three is, of course, to apply to Ursuline. So the timeline on this is our applications are due December the 1st. And most of the Catholic high schools in Cincinnati follow a similar timeline for the application process. So if you're looking at a bunch of different schools, you can know that the Catholic schools will more or less be the same timeline. Some other private schools might have a different timeline, so you'll have to, make sure you keep track of that. But for us, you'll need to have your application in by December 1st, and the application is made up of an online application. It's not available yet. It will be up and available in the next couple of weeks for you to start completing. You'll create an account on our admissions portal that we have, and then you can complete the online application there. And part of that will be some written responses that your daughter will need to submit that will be an important part of her application. You'll also need to submit her records from her grade school. So we will have a release form that you can sign and turn into her current school, and that will prompt them to send us her grades as well as her standardized test scores for whatever testing she has done so far in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And you'll get all of that into us by December the 1st. We will review applications, and then we will get back to you in terms of decisions in January. So all of the decisions go out from the Catholic high schools this year. It's January 13th is the day. It's usually that same Wednesday. And so then you'll find out from us, your daughter's acceptance status, as well as any scholarship or financial aid offers that you might receive. And then you'll have some time to consider everything and decide as a family what the best decision for your daughter is. And then we will have our registration day this year on January 27th. So that is when you decide, yes, I want to be a Lion. And so you come in, we have a little celebration, and you officially enroll your daughter in the class, which includes a tuition deposit, an enrollment contract. And after that, of course, we celebrate, we have some spirit wear, but then after that is when we begin the course selection process for your daughter's freshman year, as well as any testing, placement testing that might happen later on. So that is the overview of the admissions process. I will say that for 8th graders, shadowing is one of the best ways to get to know Ursuline. So shadowing, if you're not familiar, is when you come as an 8th grader and you spend a day at Ursuline. So typically you would follow one student around all day, your host student. You would go with her to class throughout the day, like her shadow, which is where we get the name, of course. So this year with COVID, we are doing it a little bit differently, but we will still offer in-person shadow days. So that the link for those is on our website. If you go to ursulineacademy.org/admissions, click on shadowing, and you'll see all of the details about the in-person shadow days as well as the virtual shadow days. We do have a virtual shadow day option as well for any students who might not be comfortable coming in person. I will tell you that there's a maximum of 10 in-person shadows per day, so you will want to make sure you look into that so that you can reserve a day that works well for your daughter's schedule. And on her shadow day, she will still have the chance to join some classes, take some tours at the school, interact with a lot of students. It'll just be a slightly different format than we would typically have. She won't be with one student throughout the entire day, just so we can practice that safe physical distancing and keep everyone safe. So that is how the admissions process works overall. Now, I know there are a lot of questions coming in right now that I'm seeing about testing the high school placement test. So those of you who have older daughters or older kids, actually, because for the boys as well, you are probably familiar. In the past, students have taken the high school placement test. So that test has been waived this year to COVID by the Archdiocese. So there will not be a high school placement test. It was called the HSPT. So each school is determining exactly how they will handle admission this year and enrollment decisions, scholarship decisions. So we will be looking, as we always do with our applications, at multiple criteria for admission. So we will look at your daughter's complete application. We will look at her grades, her test scores, so her Iowas, whatever testing she may have taken in junior high or grade school, as well as her written statements and any other pieces of her application that we may collect. And we will be doing a holistic review of that. We have an admissions review committee who truly does look at each student's application in depth. We spend multiple days reviewing applications to make sure that we are finding students who are the right fit for Ursuline. It's very important for us. We have a selective admission process and we have a rigorous curriculum here at Ursuline. We want students here who love to learn, who are excited to learn, and we want to make sure that we're finding the right fit between Ursuline and your family, and then of course that you are deciding whether or not Ursuline is the right fit for you as well. So we will be looking at those various test scores for admission as well as scholarships. I'm seeing a lot of questions coming in about that, about the scholarships, and we will have more specifics for you about scholarships, coming out in the next couple of weeks. But we will be looking, at a holistic picture of your daughter's applications, as we always do for her admission. Okay, so that is a quick overview of the admissions process. Again, please let me know if you have any questions as you move forward. I'm really here, to help answer any questions you might have. And you can always give me a call. You can also call our Assistant Director of Admissions, Mary Claire Schneer. You'll find her contact information on the website as well. So now we are going to let me do a quick review of what is still to come. So we're going to go into some general Q&A right now. So if you haven't already, please do enter your questions into the chat and we will get started on answering those. And then after that, we are going to go more in depth on athletics, performing arts, and student life. So we're actually pretty much on track with our schedule here. So we will go into athletics starting at 7:45. So from 7:45 to 8 o'clock. Performing arts will be from 8 o'clock to 8:15. And then student life will be from 8:15 to 8:30. So if one of those is maybe not interesting to you, feel free to, go grab a snack and come back at the time that you're interested in. During each of those 3 sessions, there will be time for live Q&A with that person as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and go into some questions. All right. Okay, here's an easy one that I can go ahead and answer for you. What is the dress code and uniform requirements at Ursuline? So we do have a uniform, which is a wonderful, beautiful thing. Laura is wearing her uniform here. You might have seen her fleece as part of her uniform. So all of our students are required to wear, we either have a kilt or we do have an option to wear some dress pants as well. And then they wear a polo on top, either a green or a white Ursuline polo. And there are some options on top that they can have, like a sweatshirt or a fleece, that are part of their uniforms as well. So they, you know, they're pretty comfortable uniforms that the students do wear. And there are some opportunities for casual dress days throughout the year as well. Okay, so let's go ahead, and this next question is, I'm going to direct this one to Ms. Hallahan to answer. So the question is, if a student were a religion other than Catholic, for example, Jewish, would they have to take a Catholic religion class? And I think your mic might be on mute, Ms. Hallahan.
Thank you. So all of our students are required to take religion classes every year. So to graduate, they have to have 4 credits in religion. So freshman year, our students start with Christian awareness, which is a full year course. Second year, they move into scripture. Beginning at the junior year, this is a unique feature of Ursuline, is I would say all of the options and electives that we have in our religious studies program. So there are a couple more required courses but at the junior year, they begin to be semester courses as opposed to year-long courses. So a required course is morality as well as church issues. And they can take church issues their senior year or junior year. And then there are lots of other options that they can take to fill into the remaining elective slots to round out the 4 credits. We have world religions, faithful service learning, death and Christian hope, prayer and spirituality, philosophy, theology. We just have a number of electives for students to explore. So we're very proud of our religious studies curriculum that we do offer, but that is a required course for all students.
All right, so while you are up here on the screen, Ms. Hallahan, I have a few more questions for you. A couple of very easy ones. Number 1, what are the school hours, and do you offer bus transportation services?
So our school day starts with 7:55 every day with homeroom, and we end at 3 o'clock. We do offer early bird classes, which are classes that are scheduled before homeroom starts, and those are run from 7:10 to 7:45. And those are usually offered at the sophomore, junior, and senior level. And it varies each year what course is offered at an early bird schedule. Busing depends on each individual district, so it will be up to your district of residence in terms of whether busing is provided.
Okay, and while you're here still, a few questions coming in about our sort of our academic reputation. So talk a little bit about maybe our average ACT scores, college scholarships, some of the more specifics. I think there's some questions about some of those more specific academic merits that we have.
So we're very proud of our academic accomplishments, and for the last couple years we have had one of the highest ACT averages out of all of the high schools. So we're very proud of that. Last year our graduating class merited nearly $32 million in scholarships that earned. So it was $31.9 million, which has been the highest of all of the high schools. We're very proud of that. Same thing with our ACT scores. 92% of our students earn a 3 or higher on the AP on a 3 or higher, on their AP test. And we are very proud of our, national merit finalists. Every year we have finalists. So our students do very well. Our students make us very proud. So yes, we have a lot of accomplishments in that department.
Okay, 2 more questions for you. So number 1, do we have College Credit Plus courses at Ursuline? And number 2 is, why don't freshmen take social studies, and is there a class that replaces that?
The social studies question is a good question. So we have been working on actually reviewing that to see, as we do every year, to see what enhancements we can make to the curriculum in our working with the social studies department on that exploring that very question in a little bit more depth this year. So we'll see where that leads us moving forward. So typically we have in the schedule for freshmen, we like to strive for that balance in the schedule, and students take either health or PE balanced out with their religion course, as well as the other credits that they carry. So that is something we are exploring. And so you can kind of, all of our curriculum offerings can be found on our website. So those will be updated once we get by January, our students are moving into the course selection process for the following year. So for those of you that are in the 8th grade, by the time the decision letters are out and you are making your own decisions, then you can look at our website under the academics page, and you'll be able to review all of our curriculum offerings to see where we are with some of those things. And Ashley, I'm sorry, I lost the first part of that question.
The first part of the question is College Credit Plus.
Oh, yes, College Credit Plus. So again, yes, that is something that we are looking at as well. So we have some courses that do offer the college credit, and of course we explore the flex credit. We have students that explore and get credit through the Ohio Flex Credit Program as well. So those are all things that, that through our guidance department that they can explore with you as well.
And could you talk a little bit more about our schedule? What is our schedule like?
Our schedule is a very unique feature of Ursuline, and it is a trademark of ours, I would like to say. So we have a modular schedule. So we follow a 6-letter day rotation. So when you say at Ursuline, what day is it? We don't mean Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. We have a letter day rotation of A through F day. Every day, as I mentioned, begins with homeroom at 7:55, and we conclude at 3 p.m. There are 18 mods in that day, in that time. Each mod is about 20 minutes in length, and courses are scheduled to be either 2 mods in length or 3 mods in length. So they could be anywhere from about 45 minutes to an hour. And then of course we have science labs and some other courses that are 4 mods. They're a little bit longer at being, courses being at about an hour and 20 minutes with the passing time in between that you gain. And the schedule is very unique in the sense that so the courses you may have allow the flexibility for the courses to be scheduled, like I mentioned, 2 mods, 3 mods, 4 mods in length. And the rotation of a student's schedule each letter day is not the same from A day to B day. So you may start mod 1 and 2 with Algebra 1 on A day, but then on B day, you may have Algebra 1 for 3 mods at the end of the day, maybe mods 16, 17, and 18. The other unique feature of our schedule is that the configuration of students within the mod or within the course do change as well. So Ashley and I might be in Algebra 1 together on A day, mods 1, 2, And Laura and I might be in Algebra 1 together on B-Day, mods 16, 17, and 18. But Ashley, Laura, and I all have the same teacher, and we all are following the same curriculum and getting the same instruction. And then all three of us might be together on C-Day in a course, in an Algebra 1 course together section. So the nice thing about that is that my particular teacher, our particular Algebra 1 teacher, might have 60 students throughout all of her sections, but I have the opportunity to really meet and engage with many students in my class. So I am not just with the same 15, 20 students every day. I get to meet different students and to experience a different configuration every 6 letter days, which is a unique feature that I get to form a lot of relationships and friendships with students that I get to experience in my classes.
Excellent. Okay, just a couple more questions for Ms. Hallahan, then we'll give someone else a turn. So another couple of very kind of quick school logistics questions. How early can you be dropped off if parents have to go to work? And also, are you allowed to carry a bag with you between classes? Do you have any summer classes as well? Is another question.
So good questions. So the building opens at 6:30 every morning. So students can be dropped off at 6:30 and the building is open for spaces for students to study. And then our cafeteria, because of our modular schedule, students are not scheduled a specific lunchtime every day. So the cafe is open from 7:30 to 1 every day. And so students, as they're free, you heard about earlier the choice of free mods, students can go in and eat. So breakfast is available every day as well. Students are allowed to carry a bag with them. So every student is assigned a locker, but students are allowed to carry a backpack with them throughout the day. We do offer summer courses. There are some that typically are offered year after year, but the summer schedule does fluctuate from year to year. This is an opportunity for students to perhaps advance a sequence in a particular course or a particular department. So, for example, this last summer, we did offer a geometry honors summer course. And so students that wanted to advance their sequence in math maybe took Algebra 1 their freshman year, Algebra 1 honors, and then took summer geometry and then started their sophomore year as Algebra 2 honors students. So yes, we do offer summer courses and many, sometimes we have electives, fine arts electives and such that can help students out to so their schedule will allow them to explore their interests that they have without overcrowding their schedule because they're able to get some courses in throughout the summer.
Okay, a follow-up question there. A couple of questions I'm seeing about our class size. So total enrollment at Ursuline is 530 currently, but we're getting some questions about student to teacher ratio as well as average class sizes.
So I believe our current ratio is around 12 to 13 to 1. The class sizes are usually around 20 in each class. Our science labs tend to run smaller. Of course, we have some sections that have fewer students in them that can range all the way down to a size of 6 to 7 students. But I would say on average, we're running around 20 students per class.
Great, thank you so much. Now I have a question for Ms. Hosfeld regarding placement testing. So the question is, if I'm currently taking Algebra 1, do I have to take a placement test to start in geometry?
The answer to that would be yes. So we typically have placement tests that are held in the springtime, and students would need to demonstrate mastery in order to test into then the next sequence of class. So if a student wants to take, they're taking Algebra 1, for example, in the 8th grade, they would take a placement test. We just want to make sure that they're really proficient in that area, and then they would be able to go on and take geometry honors as a freshman.
Awesome. And another question for you while you're here. So about sort of starting freshman year, and Ms. Hurley may be able to touch on this as well. How do students transition if they might be the only student from their grade school? Do they get some practice with the mod schedule before school starts? A couple of questions around that.
Yes, so there's quite a few students who I'm working with right now who are the only ones who are coming from their grade school. We have different activities to help them to become familiar with one another. So we have an ice cream social in the summertime. We have freshman orientation, so students travel together with homerooms in order to learn a little bit more about the schedule and some of the expectations of the year. So they travel together with their homeroom group. We also have Freshman Community Day, which I'll let maybe Ms. Hurley talk a little bit more about that, just since she does such a great job organizing that. But that we just held that last week. So another way for students to break up into smaller groups and different activities there. We also just try to incorporate some team building activities into our counseling classes. So we spend the first few cycles of counseling class getting to know one another. We're also meeting with our students one-on-one. I'm holding those individual meetings right now with students and just talking with them about what some of their options are to get involved. So we have a club fair, we have a community service fair. So we're talking with students about how they can get involved and feel more connected to the school. Obviously athletics and performing arts. So there's lots of different opportunities for students to get involved and meet one another. So we're definitely encouraging those conversations and offering support to help students connect with one another.
Wonderful, thank you. Ms. Hurley, do you want to add anything to that? And then I also do have another question for you as well about how often we celebrate Mass as a school.
Yeah, so to piggyback on helping freshmen to connect, I know different schools run their orientation programs differently. For us, that first day orientation really is about what do students need to feel safe and connected in that first week. So really being able to figure out their schedule and where they're going in the building becomes a key part of that orientation piece. But we are aware that we're getting students from so many different schools that all of them need a chance to connect with who's going to be free at the same time as them. So even in that freshman orientation day, they're getting some time to meet each other to figure out, oh, who might be somebody that I can plan to have lunch with on 8A because we have the same free mods. So we help them to connect in that way. And then as Katie said, Ms. Hosfeld said, we have freshman community day about a week later after they've kind of been through a few cycles of school and they know how the school day runs. Then the next step is how do we get involved? How do we get connected to the larger school community? And then what are some of those time management skills that we need to work on? And really, how can we connect with our classmates? So community day is just a lot of fun because the emphasis really is on getting to know your classmates in a deeper kind of way, aware that you're going to keep building those relationships over the course of the whole year. As far as liturgies and masses go, we have an all-school prayer experience, either a prayer service or a mass about once a month. Obviously, on all holy days of obligation, we would have mass together, but we also have prayer services built in, recognizing that God's working in all of our lives on our spiritual journeys and having experiences that can connect with all of our student body is really important to us. And so we have some prayer services as well as mass being built into our schedule as a whole school. I had another thought that totally just ran away from me about that. So yeah, that's the liturgy schedule.
One more quick question while we still have you, and then we're going to move into athletics here because I know we're a few minutes over on our Q&A time. How do students find their way around the school on the first day?
There are lots of people to help our freshmen out. So during orientation, really we walk with the freshmen. They work one-on-one with our pals. So juniors and seniors who are leaders in our school, peers as leaders, help out with freshman orientation so we can actually personalize that walkthrough at the schedule, and they can walk through their day several times during their orientation day. But then on the first day of school, all the pals are there in their bright yellow shirts, so that any freshman knows this is somebody that I can go and ask questions to. It was interesting this year with our staggered start. The freshmen were in the building by themselves. And so it was all faculty out every time there was a mod change, kind of helping them to get pointed in the right direction and to figure out where to go. It seems confusing at first, but our students figure it out pretty fast how to get around our building. And there are so many upper class women ready to help out and point the freshmen in the right direction. They really do want to be a support for our newest students, which is something I love about our UA community.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And I know there are so many more questions here that we did not have a chance to answer tonight. I apologize. They're just really pouring in. So trying to answer as many of those as possible. Although, okay, let me give you one more. I saw it pop up just one more time. I think they already asked it. Phone policy. We students are allowed to have cell phones on campus. It's up to the individual teacher how that teacher would like to handle it in his or her classroom. So whether it needs to be turned off in a backpack, or some of the teachers will ask you to sort of park it at the door in like a shoe holder type of a situation. But you can use your cell phone during your free mods. Yes. All right, and like I said, many more questions coming in, and we will be providing additional information. A lot more questions are coming in about scholarships. There are still a few things being determined in that area, and we will be sharing more details when we have them for you. And we also, if you have any additional questions that I might have missed, I'm trying to scan as many of them as possible. Please do follow up. You have my email address, so please do send me a note and or give me a call later this week or next week, and we can try to talk through any additional questions you have. All right, so we are going to go ahead and move into the next part of our evening here, which is three different areas of Ursuline that many people are very interested in, 3 different ways to get involved at UA. So for the next 10-15 minutes, we'll talk about athletics, then we'll move into performing arts, and then we will move into student life. So I'm going to hand it over to Ms. Colleen Daring, who is our athletic director. Oh, and I think Ms. Daring, you might be on mute. And just a reminder, so as Colleen is speaking here, feel free to type in some questions as well, and she'll have about 5 minutes to answer athletics specific questions when she's finished with her with what she wants to share with you.
All right, let me start again. Thanks, Ashley. As Ashley said, my name is Colleen Daring. I am the athletic director here at Ursuline. I have been in the athletic department for 15 years, and I also coached here for 20 years. And as you can see, I'm also a graduate of Ursuline, so a lifelong Ursuline learner here. As a common theme you've heard tonight, there are many different ways to get involved here at Ursuline, and athletics is one of those ways. We do have 12 sports that we offer here and 26 teams. We have 6 sports in the fall, 3 sports in the winter, and 3 in the spring. Our 6 in the fall are cross country, golf, field hockey, soccer, tennis, and volleyball. In the winter, we have bowling, basketball, and swimming and diving. And in the spring, we have lacrosse, track and field, and softball. We are a member of the GGCL, which is the Girls Greater Cincinnati League. And we're proud to say that we have won the All Sports Trophy, which is a trophy that represents all of our sports So we've won that trophy for our league 21 times, which is the most of any of our league schools. And we've won it 9 out of the last 10 years. We're very proud that all of our teams are contributing to our league trophy and that all of our athletes are very important to us. They're all supported by our administration, our students, and of course the athletic department. One thing I would recommend, but obviously not this year, but is to come and check out a game of a sport that you're interested in. Unfortunately, this year, because of COVID, there are some strict rules that we have to follow, but we are live streaming all of our home volleyball games. You can find that live stream on our website, and all of our basketball games once those start in the winter. So I encourage you to check those out. We are fortunate also that we have 2 gym spaces at Ursuline. We have what we now call the big gym. It used to be called the new gym. The big gym, which is a college floor, and when we push the bleachers in, we can have 2 volleyball practices going on at the same time, or 2 basketball practices going on at the same time. And then we also have the small gym, which we really love because it gives 2 teams an opportunity to practice at the same time. And then as we transition into our off-season sports, it then gives the basketball team an opportunity to practice. So we start practice with basketball next week, and they'll be in the small gym while volleyball will continue practicing in the big gym. We also have new tennis courts out back behind the school. We have 5 tennis courts. This is our 2nd year playing on them. It's just amazing to have our athletes being able to walk out back for practice or for matches. And it also, I think, is nice for the girls to be able to encourage their teammates and to have their peers come and watch them. And it's really easy to do after school. Our other sports, we have several sports that play over at the Blue Ash Sports Complex, which is about 2 miles from Ursuline. We have soccer, lacrosse, field hockey, and softball that all play over there. And then the only other thing I would just say is that there are many, many different ways to get involved at Ursuline, and athletics is just one of them. But for us, our freshman class often dictates the strength of our programs. Right now, we have about 190 fall athletes, and almost a third of them are freshmen. So, you know, we find that there's usually something for everyone to do here, and we encourage you to come out in the summer. We always have camps and summer conditioning and summer training. And if you're interested, you should come out and check something out and see if that's something that you could get involved in. So that's just a quick overview of athletics at Ursuline. I don't know, Ashley, if you have any questions or anything's come in. I can't hear you, Ashley. No.
Okay. I hope
There.
you hear me now. Okay. All right. There we go. All right. So a couple of related questions for athletics coming in here. One is specifically, do you cut freshmen from field hockey? And then a related question, is there a no-cut policy for athletic teams?
2 very common questions. So we don't have any specific no-cut teams. We do have several teams that in certain years we might not have cuts. I can tell you this year, cross country did not have any cuts. Field hockey, we would cut freshmen if we if the coach feels like they aren't up to potential. But field hockey is one of those lucky sports where many of the girls are coming in on the same playing field. Not many of them play in grade school. So what I would encourage is to go to the summer camps and go to the summer programs to learn more about the sport and to see if that's a fit for you. I don't know off the top of my head how many freshmen are in our field hockey program, but it's usually around 12 that we have on our field hockey team.
Okay, great. And just in general, in terms of, you know, tryouts for sports, a couple of questions about that.
Okay, that's a good one. So all of our fall sports tryouts are August 1st every year, unless August 1st falls on a Sunday. But every year, fall sports are August 1st. So if you're planning on trying out for a fall sport, make sure all vacations take place before tryouts. If you are selected to a team, whether it's a fall team, a winter team, or a spring team, vacations are not permitted after your daughter is selected to a team. So For all fall sports, it's August 1st. The winter sports, they vary a little bit year to year, but it's typically end of October, early November. I can tell you this year, basketball tryouts are the 23rd of October. And then our spring sports are usually end of February, early March, our winter tryouts. And just to double back on the no-cut sports, part of the reason why we don't label a certain team a no-cut sport is because we feel like the girls that, let's say, run cross country, they put in just as much effort and time as the girls that run volleyball. And we feel like they need to earn that spot. And it's something that they're really proud of as well. So again, it's not that we don't have teams that cut we do have teams that don't cut on certain years, but it's not any team in particular from year to year.
Awesome. Speaking of cross country, where do they practice?
That is a very good question. Our cross country team practices all over the local area. So in the summer, I know our coach does a rotating schedule. They practiced at Summit Park. They practiced at Ursuline once a week. They practiced from Pioneer Park. So local parks nearby where they'll run the roads or they'll run maybe a course at the park. And then our track team, another difficult sport that we have trouble, we don't have a track, so we often are practicing. Some years we're at Reading. We've also practiced at Sycamore and St. X. So it really just depends where we can get a close track with a good time for our girls to practice.
A couple of questions about the summer before your freshman year or just in general. Specifically, do you have a summer tennis camp? And then more generally, do you have conditioning available for the girls in the summer before their freshman year?
Yes, all of our fall sports offered a camp this summer. Obviously, none of them took place, but they all offered a camp this summer. And then we also have basketball that has a summer camp and lacrosse has a summer camp. And then all of our fall sports will do conditioning and training sessions throughout the summer. Some of our teams will start in early June and they'll go a couple days a week and then they'll pick up and go more days as July hits. Some of our teams don't start until, let's say, after the 4th of July, and they'll go 2 or 3 weeks conditioning leading up to tryouts in August. So if you choose Ursuline, when you come for course selection in February, you'll get a huge packet from athletics with all of those dates in the summer that you can write down on your calendar. And again, we encourage you, as much as you can come to, and, just to try out the different opportunities here.
Okay, we're going to do 2 more minutes of questions for athletics, and then we're going to move on to performing arts. Do we have athletic scholarships?
We do not have athletic scholarships. They are not allowed by Ohio High School Athletic Association.
Okay, and then a couple of questions about, are there opportunities to learn a new sport, or do you have to have prior experience in a sport? We got that question just generally, and then we also got it specific to diving.
Very good questions. I would say it depends on the sport, which is a terrible answer. So I apologize for that. But I would say field hockey is one of those great sports where most of the girls haven't played before they came to Ursuline. So, you certainly should come to the camps and learn throughout the summer, but it's not something that maybe you need to have the skills before you come. Our other fall sports, I'm just trying to think, most of the girls have played before. Sometimes on a club team, sometimes just on their rec team or maybe their grade school team. Again, it depends on the classmates that you're coming in with. As far as diving goes, we do have some divers that have not dove before, but maybe they were gymnasts or maybe they had some other, athletic ability that allowed them to the opportunity to learn or pick up the sport quickly. Our divers do some dry land, they do some trampoline work before we actually get on the diving boards in November. So there are opportunities to learn, yes.
Okay, awesome. All right, we've got a lot more athletic questions coming in here. Let's see, we have time for like 1 more, and then I will, in my email out tomorrow to everyone with the link to this video, I will include Colleen's email address so you can shoot her any additional questions that we didn't get to answer. couple of questions coming in about volleyball specifically. What's that program like? How many teams do more than just the the most elite athletes get a chance to play?
Our volleyball is probably one of our more competitive sports here at Ursuline. This year, every year that I've been here, we've had 3 teams. We have a freshman team, a JV team, and a varsity team. Right now, we have about 13, 13, and 13 on our teams. So bigger numbers, but it gives opportunities for the girls to move up as they get older. We do have a few freshmen on the JV team, and then obviously the rest are sophomores and a couple of juniors. As far as if you have to be an elite player, I don't think elite is the word I would use, but most of our girls that play volleyball do play club. I can't speak specifically to what clubs they come from, but again, I think that's one of those sports where instead of putting all your eggs in one basket, you come to the volleyball camp and maybe you check out the field hockey camp. We do allow girls to try out for 2 teams in order to keep their options open, but obviously you can't play on 2 teams. But, I think the girls that come to the summer things and they come to the camps, they come to the conditioning and the training all throughout June and July, they get a good idea of where they fit.
Awesome. Wonderful. Okay, so like I said, more questions coming in, and we will make sure that we follow up, and you can ask any additional questions of us, later this week, and we will be happy to talk more about athletics. So thank you so much, Colleen, for sharing some information with us. Now I want to move into our next topic here, which is performing arts. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Jimmy Wiederhold, who is our Performing Arts Director.
Well, good evening, everyone. And as Ashley said, I am Jimmy Wiederhold. This is my 5th year at Ursuline Academy. And as the Director of Performing Arts, I'm fortunate to be here to talk with you all about music, dance, and theater. I'd first like to share a video that highlights all of the performing arts opportunities we have to offer at Ursuline. So as you saw, there are many ways that your daughter can become involved in the performing arts at UA. Our talented group of dancers, musicians, actors, and artists get to show off their hard work at a few different performances throughout the year. In the theater, we have the Fall Musical in early November, and those nights are covered over 4 different nights. Those performances are over 4 different nights. We have the TAG show in mid-February, and TAG stands for Theater Arts Group. This is a club that is student-driven. Students get to produce, direct, as well as act and be part of crew for a production in February. And then we have the spring play, which is a straight drama, no music, in late April. For the music ensembles, all vocal as well as instrumental perform at our Christmas concert in December. We combine with the visual arts department in May for arts and concert. So the visual art is set up on display in the gallery, and then you move into the theater for the music portion of the event. Every other year, we also compete on music competition trips around the country. This year is the exception for that, but previous years we have traveled to Orlando, Florida, New York City, and beyond. And talking a little bit about the schedule specifically for music, most of our ensembles offer sections that meet outside of that 7:55 to 3 p.m. school day. So that allows the students to choose a section that works best with their overall schedule. And with that, I would now like to answer any questions.
All right. So we've got some questions coming in here. So how many shows per year at Ursuline?
So with the fall musical, there are 4 separate performances over 4 nights. For the tag show, that is 2 nights, a Friday and a Saturday. And then for the spring play, we do very much like the fall musical. There are 4 performances, Thursday through Sunday.
Okay, wonderful. Are there drama classes at Ursuline?
We currently do not have a theater curriculum during the school day, but what we do offer students, especially this year, we're offering even more of them, are master classes and workshops where students get to work with professionals in their field, all happening after school hours, but they learn from the professionals about acting, directing, producing, as well as light, sound, costuming, and all sides of technical theater as well.
Wonderful. This is a question that's sort of both performing arts and athletics, so I'll go ahead and let you answer it. Do you have a dance team? If so, do you try out? Is it okay to be on a dance team outside of school? And how can you be involved with dance at Ursuline?
Yeah, so the few dance options that we do have here, we have show choir, which is a class that combines the love of singing and dancing. And show choir performs at the Christmas concert and the concert in May. And then the fall musical is typically pretty dance heavy as well, even if the show doesn't necessarily call for it. Like last year we did Mary Poppins and the year before we did Les Mis. We do provide students the opportunity to dance even more so than the show calls for. As for a dance team, we do not currently have one. Currently.
How do you get into sound and lighting?
So there are many students who are currently involved with that, and there will be a meeting, there is a meeting every year at the beginning of the school year. So if you have interest in crew in general, you could attend that meeting, and then they would break off into sections and you could learn more about lights and sound at that meeting, learning from students who are already doing those responsibilities in the shows.
Okay, another question about theater, about the shows. Any idea what the 2021 plays or musicals will be?
No idea yet. We are reevaluating in December for the spring. We did not end up putting on a fully staged fall production right now, but we are looking into the spring and we have a few ideas and we're hopefully able to do that.
And what is the rehearsal schedule like for the shows?
Typically for the fall musical, it is the most involved production. So that would be a Monday through Friday schedule, most evenings no later than 6:30 or 7 o'clock. Although Fridays, we tend to leave for dancers only so they can dance through all of the routines of all of the songs. And that typically only goes until about 5 p.m. For the play, you're looking at more Monday through Thursday and no later than about 6 o'clock those evenings.
And what about any student directing opportunities?
So that is where the tag show comes in. It is a great opportunity for the students to take control and to express their vision of the show and work with one another to build that show entirely. There is a faculty moderator who oversees that the rehearsals go smoothly and is there for any guidance needed, but that is an opportunity for students to direct and produce a show.
Okay, so switching gears a little bit more into some of our music courses. So a couple of related questions here. So a few questions about which ensembles are open to freshmen, as well as which age groups or sort of grade levels are the different classes open to?
Yeah, so I'll start with instrumental because I am also the instrumental music director. Our class instrumental music is our concert band. So if you play a woodwind or brass, percussion, or piano, you're welcome to take that class. And then if you play violin, viola, cello, double bass, harp, some pianists also join Symphonia, which is our string orchestra. These two groups also combine for full orchestra pieces at every performance that we do. And both of these courses have options that are taught as early bird sections, which is that 7:10 to 7:45 class before the school day begins. Women's choir and a cappella and show choir are our three choir options. Women's choir is offered during the school day or after school on Mondays and Wednesdays for an hour. And then show choir is only after school on Tuesdays and Thursdays for an hour. All of our courses are open to grades 9 through 12. Even early bird is available to freshmen in music.
Awesome. So a couple of sort of clarifying questions. So getting a few questions about, are these classes? Are they extracurriculars? How does that work here at Ursuline? Can you do band and theater?
So we are a little bit of both because we do perform outside of class, but we are a class around the school day. You can perform in band and also do theater. The reason that theater rehearsals start at 4:15 is to accommodate those students who are in a music class, one of the choirs, after school until 4 or 4:15. So once the music courses are done for the day, the theater opens up, and also the directors who are teaching those music courses also head over to the theater to be part of the production that is happening that season. So it is possible to be part of both. And when you take a music class such as those ensembles, you are expected to perform outside of class time at the concerts.
And then a little bit about freshman course requirements or course options, not just for music, but for all fine arts.
So for instrumental music and Symphonia, there is a requirement to have at least 2 years experience on the instrument itself. Women's choir is open to anyone. Maybe you don't have any singing background, but you are able to take women's choir. A cappella is for 10th through 12th grade, and that is an auditioned choir. And then if you have interest in music, but don't have a background playing an instrument or know very little about how to read music, we also offer beginning piano and beginning guitar, specifically introductory courses for those instruments. If you want to learn to play a flute and you've never played a flute before, we also offer music mods, which are individualized lessons at no cost to the student that Miss Carol, the vocal director, and I teach during the school day.
Okay, one more question for you. Is there a marching band?
There is not a marching band at Ursuline Academy. However, I have had many students in the past march for either LaSalle or Moeller, and typically it's just where their older brother goes, or if they have a friend who also marches there, they choose those schools, or if they live on that side of town, they choose to march there.
Actually, I do have one more question, then we're going to move into student life. Show choir, is it just a class or do you have to try out?
It is just a class. We are in a building phase for show choir, and at this point in time, we are at 17 students in the class. But yeah, as of right now, anyone is welcome to come and dance.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Mr. Wiederhold. And again, just like with athletics, if anyone has any additional questions, I don't know if I think we got to most of the questions. If I missed one, please do send me an email and we will make sure that we follow up with you. So now, last but certainly not least, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Carrie Katsetos, who is one of our assistant principals here at Ursuline, and she oversees all student life.
Good evening, everybody. So I'm Carrie Katsetos. I'm the assistant principal of student life. I also teach a few Spanish classes. So I really do get to experience both sides, the academic side and the after school side. And one thing that I really appreciate about student activities here at Ursuline is, as you can see, is Mr. Riederholt was just mentioning about the tag show. That is a student-led, student-driven production. And we have many other clubs and activities that match that our clubs are led by students, they are initiated by students, and driven by student interest. So many benefits, obviously, to getting involved at Ursuline. The question was asked earlier about, how do students get to and through the hallways when they first arrive? And definitely one other way, other than, just generally milling about the halls and meeting some upper class women, is to get involved as soon as possible, whether that's through athletics, our performing arts program, or other interest clubs and organizations that we have. So that helps to foster that connection, build community. There is the college prep side of this, that in the college admissions world, certainly we're looking for students that are well-rounded and have experiences outside the academic classroom. It provides a creative outlet, and as we are trying to encourage our whole community, students and staff, to don't forget to have fun, because that's stress relief. And we need to make sure that we're learning not just for school, but for life, and that should be an enjoyable process. So our student life really does reflect that nurturing of the soul, intellect, heart, and imagination. So we do have, so as we said, they are student initiated. So for example, new this year on the scene, a few clubs that are new, students initiated a song and worship club in which they said, we want to come together and pray together. We want to safely distance and sing if that's possible, depending on size of attendance. And that's what they decided that they wanted to do, supported by an adult moderator, but students proposed that club, came up with a plan. That is one example. Another example is we had some students initiate a robotics club this year as well. So again, the number of clubs could change from year to year, just given that students are the ones that are imagining what Ursuline can be. So we do, as we had mentioned earlier, we do have various club fairs and service fairs so that students, in fact, one is happening right now in which students can walk through the hallways, see different display boards about what each club is about. They can scan some QR codes to get some further information and get involved right away. And that's open to students of all grades. We also, when we talk about students initiating some of these processes, we don't just throw them in the dark. They are supported both by moderators who maybe hold some similar interests or just want to get involved with students outside of the classroom. And then we also support them through some various leadership workshops. So we have one leadership workshop at the very beginning of the school year so that students and their moderators can get organized, get planning for the year. Often they're figuring out how to collaborate with other clubs or other organizations, or even some service collaborations from time to time. And then a kind of a midpoint check-in in January where we do some additional leadership training for our student leaders. So this is the list of this year's clubs and organizations at UA. But again, that we do have some additional new clubs this year, just based on what students propose. And I think we can open up for some questions and answers.
All right, thank you so much. So I do have a question actually about how do you propose a new club? If you wanted to start one, what would you have to do?
That is a great question. So students are sent out that information. There's actually several different ways. Actually, if we want to go to the next slide, there's several different ways that we keep in contact with our students regarding student activities information. So we have a weekly student bulletin that goes out that reminds students of upcoming club meetings, that will remind them of, if we have a special schedule that week. Some helpful, this year we also are including some helpful hints about where to go if you're looking for a mask break, where to go if you, need a quiet place to study. So just helping them navigate the new setup of the hallways. So that information, would go out, for example, in the student bulletin, as well as be posted on, we have a Microsoft Teams student activities page where we kind of house various documents that students can check up on. So the proposal process starts in the spring. Although students are welcome to come and ask me, I certainly had some students approach me as early as I think January of last year asking how would I start a club. So they are welcome to start that discussion process long before, but as far as submitting a formal proposal, students would submit those in the spring. And again, they're welcome to reach out to either myself as a student life person, or if they have a specific teacher that they would like to work with as a future moderator of this club, if it were to be approved. But again, it's the submission actually comes from the student, although they're certainly welcome to collaborate with other student leaders and or a moderator as well.
Excellent, thank you. So 2 more questions for you on clubs, and then we'll sort of wrap up our event here. So number 1 is how many clubs are you allowed to participate in? And question number 2 is, do you offer trips with your foreign language clubs?
Okay, so for the first question, there is not a limit necessarily on how many clubs or activities a student can participate in. However, I do certainly have a recommendation because it is very easy to see our many different activities to get involved in. And if you're anything like myself, you want to do it all. And I think that's a very common thing that many of us share, is that they are very interesting. But I highly recommend that students select a couple clubs that they would either think that they feel very passionately about, very interested in, or just want to try. And the club fair is one of those ways to explore what students really think they might be interested in, because we certainly don't want students to become overwhelmed when they have 4 and 5 different club meetings to attend. We want this to be an enjoyable experience. We want this to be a creative outlet, not additional stress or pressure. So it kind of goes by that motto, like find something that you love and do it well, and clubs and activities are no different, that there really is a picking and choosing of what students feel passionately about. The second question, the second question as far as travel, obviously we are in a different spot with travel right now, but actually through our world language classes, there are typically in a regular year, there have been traveling opportunities for students to go to various countries, depending on the language. So there has been a trip to Spain, to Germany, to France. And it does depend on the language, what the program exactly looks like. Obviously, and sadly, those did not happen this year, but we are certainly looking forward to when we can get those back up and running.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Ms. Katsetos. I think those are all of our student life questions. And we do have just a couple more minutes here, and we are going to, I got a few other questions that came through that I want to touch on. And I'm going to pass it back over to our principal, Ms. Hallahan, to answer just one or two more questions before we all part ways here tonight. So one question that came in is about homework. So I know this is a question that, you know, a lot of students and parents are interested in. You know, how much homework do you have at Ursuline?
Well, that's a great question. And it does vary, obviously, on the schedule that each young woman is taking. And as we talked about, or as I mentioned earlier this evening, there are no two students that have the exact same schedule in the building. So it is going to depend on that. It's going to depend on the number of AP courses, for example, that a student is taking. But typically every night, students can expect to have 2.5 to 3 hours of homework a night. Now, we did make a change to our schedule recently this year. And so students do have what we are calling a hybrid learning day in the schedule, which does provide some independent learning and for each course that a student is taking. So that is something that is a change which will impact and make will impact kind of that average amount of homework that students have. Also depends on the number of free mods that they have during the day and how they choose to use their time during the day as well. So it's a hard question to answer, but typically a couple hours every night.
Okay, awesome. And one more question that we'll have you answer that just came in. Can freshmen take an AP class?
So that's a good question. And I'm trying to think, it also depends on what courses you're coming in with. So again, we try to place you appropriately based on where each individual student is. So it depends on if we have students that come in to Ursuline with prior credits or with some prior course experience that they may be able to, but we typically do not have right now a typical freshman AP course. So at the sophomore level, yes, but I also, like I said, there are unique situations, and we try to, again, have an individualized educational experience for each young woman. So it is going to depend specifically on each young woman and the credits and her background information.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Ms. Hallahan, for answering those last couple of questions. And now we are, here at the end of our event tonight. So I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who joined us tonight virtually. It was really a lot of fun to get to answer some of your questions. Hopefully you learned some things about Ursuline. And really, I just would encourage you to come back and come for another event, a different type of event. Come for a tour where we can talk one-on-one, where I can show you the school, or where you can meet some of our students in person. And that's really just the more you get to learn about Ursuline, I think the more that you'll feel comfortable determining, just what is this right fit for you or for your daughter for high school. So like I said, if you have any follow-up questions, please reach out to me. My email address is on our website. It's all over the website, but it's ahiggins@ursulineacademy.org, or give us a call, and we would be more than happy to speak with you about any questions or concerns that you have. So I would just like to wrap it up by saying, that at Ursuline, we are such a special community here, and that's something that I saw when I was a student at Ursuline, but honestly, I've seen even more of and realized even more of working here in the admissions office and being on the faculty at UA, just seeing how much goes into this experience that we provide for our students at Ursuline. It really is remarkable, the research, the dedication, the love that goes into nurturing her soul, intellect, heart, and imagination for each and every one of the young women who attends Ursuline Academy. So I do hope that you will consider Ursuline for yourself or for your daughter, and come again to find out what it means to be a lion. So we will go ahead and sign off for tonight. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your evening and have a great day tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us.